Speaking of intense box office performance,
Yes.
we have a mutual thing of the week this week.
Yes, it needs a Mario.
Yippity
Although yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really sound like that through most of the movie.
No, yeah, they explain it in the commercial. Yeah, they talk like that. And
Yes. So Daniel was nice enough to gift me a spare digital copy he got of this, and I said, it's time for another no hype review because it's months after anybody who was interested in seeing this already saw it.
yeah,
But we have some thoughts,
yes,
and I think the first thought is this is probably my favorite Illumination movie I've ever seen.
yeah, yeah. I'd go with that. Yeah,
This is not high praise because I have never seen an entire Minions movie all the way through. I always wander off if other people are watching it. The only
the Minions movies and the Despicable Me
oh,
movies have
see,
their charm.
right, like they're
Yeah,
just kind of goofy fun,
yeah,
but it's basically like the equivalent of cinematic cotton candy, I guess, or
yeah. That sounds about right.
like there's nothing substantial to it. You get some feels, you might get some laughs out of it, but it's not like anything that's like it isn't Pixar. It isn't even DreamWorks.
Yeah,
Like DreamWorks, like okay, so quick side tangent. I watched some of Boss Baby because it was other people were watching it when I was around,
yeah.
and it actually had something to say about like demographic decline, which I thought was amusing because it was like it was about the people liking puppies more than babies or something like that. So it's like even a bad movie like that had some sort of point to it.
Yeah,
Where I feel like this, from what I've seen in Despicable Me, it's like family,
pretty much. Yeah,
just with fewer cars.
yeah. And a morally conflicted villain.
Yes. Now, Super Mario Brothers clocks in at 90 minutes, and I remember multiple reviewers saying that they kind of wish that had been a little bit longer, and I have to kind of agree because
Mm,
there's like the ending felt like it was slightly rushed, like we needed one more scene.
yeah,
By the way, we are since this thing has been not only out since April, it's been on digital since May. If you wanted to see it, you've already seen it. So
yeah.
yeah, we are no holds bars for spoilers.
Yes, yes.
So, so this is kind of so, so the Mario Brothers movie is basically the plot you would expect just from if somebody said, "Hey, they're making a Super Mario Brothers movie." No, not like the John Leguizamo version. Uh, Mario and Luigi are plumbers in New York. They get pulled into a magical pipe that takes them to the Mushroom Kingdom. Luigi gets captured by Bowser because they get separated. Mario
Mm,
asks Princess Peach and Toad for help. They go and to recruit the Donkey Kong army to help them out. Uh, and in the end, they save the day from Bowser.
yes. That's basically the plot. Yeah.
Now, there's a couple of twists and turns in there, but I would say that you know how when this movie came out, there were a lot of people dragging the critics for getting it wrong about this movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
Um, I gotta say that if I hadn't spent my childhood playing every Mario game that was available up until the GameCube came out because I never had a GameCube,
Mm,
and I was just confused.
yeah.
Like I had no idea about anything Mario related. Like this movie would not hold up at all.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because it's definitely for the Mario fans, the fans of Nintendo. And if you didn't, if you didn't play those games or if you don't know anything about them, you're probably gonna be like, okay, all right, whatever.
I remember people making fun of Grace Randolph for being confused about the cat suit that Mario finds in the middle of his fight with Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and it's like, well, if I sure I know that there's a kitty suit because I've seen footage of people playing Super Mario 3D World. I think is where that came from.
okay.
But if I didn't, then I would just be like, oh, well, that's technically a very much a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Only technically made better by the fact that he ended up with a bad mushroom first when he was trying to get an item from the arena.
Yeah. He eats the blue mushroom, which made him tiny. But but yeah. So of course, the other part of it too is with Bowser. Um, and of course, if you've seen and even if you haven't seen the movie, you've seen the trailer where, at least the first trailer, when he shows up with the kingdom with the penguins, and he steals the superstar.
Right, he should have threatened to throw one of their babies off the ledge.
Yeah.
Which, if you didn't get that, well, you're not the audience for this movie.
Yes. And of course, his Bowser's goal is to marry Peach.
Yes, like it always is.
Yes. And and what killed me was, of course, he had it's Jack Black voicing Bowser, so you have to have a scene with him singing.
I think I remember hearing somewhere that they got very deep into production before somebody said, "Wait, why isn't Jack Black doing a song for this movie?"
Yeah.
Fun fact: so my sister is a music teacher,
Hmm.
and somebody requested, "Oh, can we do Jack Black as our composer of the month when this movie came out?" She was like, "No, not even sorta." And I was like, "Oh, come on! You could do like a Kids Bop style. You don't always have to love her hard. In fact, sometimes it's not right." That'll make it better, right?
Yeah. Uh,
But now, as far as the actual performances go, Jack Black is very good, and
mhm,
I feel like they do a good job of not making. It's like this. It's a fine line in a kids movie like this because this is
yeah.
really a kids movie.
Hmm.
Tenacious Kids with a Z. Hey, Chengus.
Hey, Genghis.
But the thing with it's like a fine line you have to write because Bowser has to be scary,
Hmm.
but he also can't be too scary for the little ones.
Yeah. Yeah, the couple of scenes in there where he's like singing, and then he's doing like the practice proposal with his little wizard guy. I can't remember what his name was.
Look, no, it's not Lakitu. He's the guy who floats on the cloud. I forget the wizard's name. We'll just call him
Yeah,
the wizard.
the wizard. Yeah, and it sort of it reminded me of reminded me of Spaceballs with Dark Helmets playing with his action figures.
Didn't I tell you to knock?
No, sir, I didn't see you playing with your dolls again.
Good. The other thing I would say is that uh, now people were giving Chris Pratt crap about this in the months leading up to the movie.
Hmm.
I feel like they took out the worst part of it, which was him saying "Let's a go" before charging into battle with Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Like that, I was paying attention for that, and that was not there.
Hmm.
So that was good. Like by and large, he did a fine job in this movie.
Yeah. He's got a convincing Brooklyn accent. Um, Although we talked about this a couple of days ago, but the the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who's the voice of Luigi, he was a little annoying.
See, I didn't find myself being annoyed by him, but he's also perfect casting for like the post GameCube Luigi, where he's a coward, and that's his main defining character trait.
Yeah, yeah.
and you get into one game where a house of literal ghosts are trying to kill you, and people think you're a scaredy cat or something.
Yeah. Which is of course which is referenced in the movie.
Right? He has a scene where he fights the skeleton Koopas,
Yeah.
and they work on the game logic. And I think that's a good transition to actually other voice actors. What's her name is Princess Peach is totally fine, and I
Yeah.
only call her what's her name because I looked up her IMDb and did not recognize anything else she'd been in really, or hadn't seen it.
Yeah, she was in. Yeah, she's been in. Anya Taylor Joy is her name.
That's it.
She's yeah, she's been in like. She was in Split and Glass. She was in. Most recently, she was in The Menu, which I still need to watch that movie.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I've heard of that at least.
yeah, and she was in New Mutants, which of course nobody saw New Mutants.
I feel like I need to at some point just because of morbid curiosity.
Yeah, yeah. Charlie Day. Charlie Day. Yeah, that was his name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was good. She was good as the 75% girl bossed Peach,
Yeah.
which was a reasonable amount of girl bossness, though caused some. There was a little bit of wonkiness with it. That's kind of amusing. But we'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah, and then you had Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. He was okay.
Yeah, he was totally fine.
Yeah, and
Donkey Kong, I think you could have. Well, we'll get into that when we talk more about the problems with the story.
yeah, and then Keegan Michael Key was Toad. He's been in. He was he and oh god, what was his name? Jordan Peele. They had that show on Comedy
Key and
Central.
Peele.
Key and Peele. Yeah. How many?
There were actually zero weed jokes because Nintendo
Yeah.
was heavily involved with this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was produced by Shigeru Miyamoto. No.
Yep. And so, those are the performances that really stood out. What was funny was the wizard was actually voiced by is it Kevin Michael Richardson, Keith Michael Richardson,
Kevin Michael Richardson.
Kevin Michael, yeah, an actual voice actor by profession.
Yeah, a very prolific and legendary one. Yeah.
Yeah, which amused me.
Yeah.
The one I wanted to look up, but I couldn't identify what the character's name was on IMDb, was there's this one deep voiced Toad who, like, and Toad is in Mushroom Person, Toad is in a frog,
Yeah.
who sounded very serious the whole time, like when he was on screen during
Yeah.
exposition scenes.
Oh yeah.
I like, you're distinctive because you don't sound adorable.
Yes.
So that kind of covers the cast. As far as the story goes, so the plot is, Mario and Luigi are still living at home. They're trying to get their plumbing business off the ground.
hmm
They're failing.
Yeah. They do the ad where they're doing the fake Italian accents and
Yep.
yeah.
They get sucked into the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario asks or gets help from Toad to find his way around. He meets Peach because Toad gets him snuck into the castle.
Mhm.
Peach is intrigued by meeting another human being because she had been raised by the Toads, which answers the question of why is she interested in the help of this nothing. Well, it's because the Toads are all too scaredy cats to help except for the main
Yeah.
Toad there.
Yeah.
And she's also just intrigued by meeting another human, so that checks out.
Mhm.
And you have a nice little training montage where he levels up a bit.
Yeah, and he eats the mushrooms and then goes through goes through the obstacle course and everything. And of course they explain they kept the power up rules pretty much the same. Where
Right, you get a power mushroom, you get bigger.
yeah,
And
then
fire mushroom, you can do spitty breath.
Yeah, and if you get hit, you lose the power up.
Yep. And so their plan is they're going to go to the Kong Kingdom and recruit the King Kong army, or the Kong Kingdom army.
Yeah.
But Mario has to defeat their greatest champion, Donkey Kong, played by Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
And he does so. And so then you have the Mario Kart sequence where you supposedly have the mightiest army in the land of the Kong army, but they're defeated very easily
Yeah.
as the Koopas just ambush them. And there was one thing in there that is just like perfectly emblem, like covers up why this isn't really a movie. Yeah, or I should say, this isn't cinema. It's like how Martin Scorsese got crap from everybody for saying that Marvel movies aren't real. You know, they're
Amus-
a amusement park
Amusement
ride,
parks. Yeah.
not a movie. Like, I don't think he's wrong in retrospect.
No, no, I don't think he was either.
Um, there's one bit where you have a Mad Max, like a Koopa in a Mad Max style car chasing Mario, and it looks like they've gotten away, and he just shouts "Blue Shell"
Oh,
and
yeah.
hops into the air and flies and destroys the rainbow bridge that they're riding on.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like that was weird. Like, imagine you had never played a Mario game like a lot of critics hadn't. That
Yeah.
and they also hadn't established the rule that the blue shell can hit the person in the lead.
Right. And of course the blue shell was a rarity too in Mario Kart. Like you couldn't get one very often.
No. Fun thing I found out once as an experiment. I
Mm.
was playing the game and I got a blue shell, and I got it to first place and just see what would happen. I fired it. It does in fact target you if you're in first place, even if you were the one who fired it.
I think I knew that. Yeah. So don't fire the blue shell if you're in first place.
So Mario and Donkey Kong uh, get swallowed by a whale, and Princess Peach is captured, and she almost rescues herself, but doesn't.
Right.
But gets saved by Mario and Donkey Kong, and then they end up back musically very much like the '90s Mario movie. They end up back
Yeah.
in New York, and they Mario and Luigi team up to save the day. This is where I feel like there could have been some more time, because you cut to Princess Peach, who's been established as a capable fighter, and
Mhm.
Donkey Kong are both trying to hold off Bowser, and she's just being like her arms are being held by a couple of Koopas as
Yeah.
uh, as Donkey Kong is getting the last of his stuffing beaten out of him by Bowser. Like, I think that's where you could have used a couple more minutes. Like, give them both some shine before you show off how cool Bowser is.
Yeah. And of course during that whole sequence that's when Mario has to find his courage and so he can defeat Bowser.
Right, and it more or less works. But that isn't what the movie is about.
Right.
What the movie is really is about is, ooh, I understand that reference. 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 So it's
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah, it was definitely a movie for the fans of Mario, and not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, it seemed to work. I mean, the movie pulled in, over a
million
billion
plus.
dollars. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's just because uh, you can make a niche movie for a specific audience like this, but it helps when that specific niche is anybody who has bought a Nintendo console and has fond memories of playing it ever.
yeah,
Which lifetime sales, I think of the NES was like 50 million, and
yeah,
the Wii was 100 million, and you add them all up between the Nintendo handhelds and everything. Uh, you've got yeah, probably half a billion total consoles sold or close to it between all the different generations and everything.
yeah.
So that's a sizable audience.
Yes.
So I don't regret watching it, but it's one of those things where I kind of had to go, maybe y'all were kind of too rough on Grace Randolph,
Yeah, yeah, maybe. Oh, you got muted.
which I don't, uh, which I don't necessarily enjoy saying because I don't always agree with her takes, but I always try to be fair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. But I mean, this is I would say this is a fun fun romp. Um, and if you like Mario and you like animated adventure movies, I mean,
Yeah.
eh,
And the fact that it's 90 minutes long means that it's not a huge time sink.
right, yeah,
And